Welcome to Self-Discovery Media Network, formerly known as Self-Discovery Radio. Each week we bring you illuminating shows from those making a difference in the lives of others. They've taken their own journey. They're here to share their skills, their wisdom to help you on yours. You can see more about us at selfdiscoverymedia.com, and please listen to our wonderful collection of shows. Our next show is...
Hello and welcome to the world according to GUS, God, Universe, Spirit. I'm your host, Reverend Charles Eduardos. I am pastor of All Saints Lutheran Church, and as I tell people sometimes, a bit of a heretic as traditional Christianity goes. There's so much to spirituality and our faith that goes so far beyond what we have evolved to in the Christian cultures of the West. But much of that is being recaptured in some of the contemplative traditions and Christian meditation methods that have been lost for years. And today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about some of the astrological aspects. And I know that there are some folks that say, oh, astrology, that stuff is of the devil and everything. But isn't it interesting that it was the astrologers, the Magi, that announced the birth of Christ because they were watching the stars. And Jesus even said, he kind of said we're the dumbest animal on the planet. He said even the birds know the seasons and what's happening by watching the things in creation. So there's so much that we miss in the world. And Tammy Manzo is with us today. And Tammy is an extraordinary woman and does extraordinary work in multiple disciplines. And actually, she's married, has a teenage son, and a rescue chihuahua. Quiero Taco Bell, So I guess when he got fired from the Taco Bell commercials, they found him and brought him in. And Tammy claims she grew up in a very strict Roman Catholic family. And even though as a young woman, she discovered and was curious about some of these metaphysical things. And let me define that too. Metaphysical. Meta comes from the Greek. No phone, you're supposed to be off. Meta comes from the Greek and means above and beyond. So metaphysical simply means it's beyond our natural senses and physicality. So there is much of that. And as a matter of fact, all spirituality is beyond the physical. It impinges and touches and affects the physical, but it goes so much beyond that. Tammy is a Reiki master. Tammy does all kinds of modalities around that, energy channeling and healing. She's an astrologer. She looks at the stars. She's about to announce the next coming. So watching the sky. And that's what we're going to talk about today because Mercury is backing up. I bet you didn't even know that the planet Mercury had but Mercury has thrown itself into reverse gear. And actually, that's only by virtue of how we see it from Earth. Mercury has a faster orbit around the sun than Earth does. And there are regular times when we find Mercury going retrograde, and it does tend to have an effect and an influence. Science has shown us that the moon affects the tides. As a police officer, I remember we used to, whenever there was a full moon, which there is now, we would always say, oh boy, the crazies are going to be out. So if that is the fact, why wouldn't Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and even beyond that, influences from the greater, vaster universe than we're even aware of now. So we're going to broach that a little bit, and Tammy has agreed to be a regular guest on the world according to GUS. So welcome, Tammy. Happy to have you here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me here, Charles. I'm so excited to talk with you. I just love your energy. I just love, how you're so open to everything and you understand everything so quickly. Yeah, I just love it. We're going to have fun.
Yes, we are. And if I can't, that's one of my attributes. If I can't have fun, I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. If I can't have fun, I don't want to play.
That's right. That's good.
So tell us about your journey. Tell us how you came to be where you are today with the different things that you do.
Well, if you can believe it, 45 years ago, 50 years ago, I was shy, quiet, wouldn't talk to anybody. I'm the talker, talk for hours and hours. But back in the day, I was just very, had no self-confidence, no self-esteem. And, these things come in, I found out now through past lives. I don't know if, all your listeners believe in that. If you don't, then just ignore all that. But if you do, that's where it comes from. So I came in at an early age being very shy and quiet, and always loved to read. And one day just found a book on astrology. So, whether my angels and guides got it to me, I found it. And when I started reading these things about myself, because you'll read about your gifts and talents, astrology will show you those natural aptitudes, those talents, those, things that come easily to you. And I wanted to hear that. I needed to hear that. And I was so excited, like, wow, okay. And when I thought about it, I thought, hey, you know what? This is kind of right. So, I kind of absorbed that energy and thought, hey, wow, you know what? This is cool. So the more I read, the more I became interested in seeing other people around me, because you can see the patterns, you can see how other people are.
Sure.
And I was always interested in psychology as I got into high school, took a psychology class. And boy, astrology and psychology, we could do a different show on that too, but those are linked together as well.
Yes.
And, it's really the study of learning, how people act and believe and behave. And, it shows cycles and patterns of energy and growth, the archetypal growth that we each go through, on our life on this planet. So that kind of got me going. And then once I really thought about how that made me feel, like, wow, okay, here's all these great things. What can it do for other people, to help them along on their charts? So I started getting into that. Really, once the internet came out, you could really start getting all this great information from anywhere and everywhere. You could get your chart done for free, and it was accurate. Back in the day when I first started, you had to plot your own chart.
Yes.
The ephemeris, and it was not accurate at all. I mean, I got the planets right, but the ascendant, you can only estimate, every 2 hours you would estimate a new sign coming. And once I got on the internet and did that chart, accurately, there was half a sign difference. I grew up thinking I had a Cancer ascendant. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I read it and I thought, this isn't quite me. Then I did the chart online, and it's 17 degrees of Gemini. So that's half a degree or half a sign difference in accuracy. So once the internet came out, it was like, all right, the wheels came on and the gas tank lit up, and, it just started moving with it. And, the more you talk about it with people, everybody's kind of interested. Everybody wants to know good things about themselves. Everybody wants to know what makes other people tick, and why don't I get along with this person, and why is it so difficult to do this? And, you can find all those things in the chart. You can see it,
Absolutely. And people that are committed to really growing want to know the dark side as well. If there are some and the dark side isn't necessarily something to be fearful of. I tell people it's just a matter of coming into the awareness. Once you become aware, then you are empowered to make a better choice.
That's right. It's just the shadow side that we don't see, or don't want to look at, or don't know that it's there. And, a lot of psychiatrists work with that shadow side as well. That's a big thing. And you're right. A tool for self-awareness and self-development.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of truth in the Prophet Obi-Wan Kenobi when he said, "Luke, beware the dark side."
That's right. That's right. Right.
So let's talk about now. I was talking to, and if there's more that you want to say on that, go ahead. But I want to start to move us toward the deeper aspects of this astrological thing, and I'm assuming that you're going to tell us a little bit around the zodiac for each particular sign, what some of the basic things they might expect to experience with this Mercury in reverse.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? The thing is, people would have to know what their Mercury is to start with,
Sure.
and I'm guessing that a lot of them don't. So I was going to kind of make it general so that everybody can, get something out of it, even if they have not had their birth chart done.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to put out there, now's probably a good time. Anybody can get their chart done. If you want to go to www.astro.com, astro.com, and put in your birth information, you can get on there free, and it'll show you the chart, the wheel, and on the lower left, it'll show all the different icons and the name of the planet. So just look on the side where it says Mercury. It looks like a little person, like a stick body with a head, and it has the wings on it, which is actually like the god Mercury from mythology. The helmet, the winged helmet. So you see the little winged helmet man in your chart, you'll see Mercury, and it'll tell you what sign it's in. And you could easily Google, go on the internet. There's so many wonderful, great sites that are for free. And if you would want to teach yourself some, I recommend Cafe Astrology, CAFEASTROLOGY.com. And once you have your chart, you could go in there and let's say like your Mercury is in Cancer.
Yes.
So all you need to, you could get that easily from your chart, then go to cafeastrology.com and look for, okay, Mercury in Cancer, and you'll get a whole big bunch of good information about how that affects you and what that energy and vibration is.
Sure. Now, and with that, let me ask you a question, because you and I have talked, and you did my solar return for me here just recently. How, with my sun being in Cancer and my Mercury being in Cancer, sun sign and Mercury in my sun sign, what kind of effect in general would that have for anyone where Mercury is in their natal sign?
Where it's so close to the sun? Well, because Mercury has that really fast, orbit, about 30% of people on the planet are going to have Mercury in the same sign as their sun. That's just the way it goes. And Venus is kind of the same way. So a lot of people are going to have it close to their sun. And when the closest to the sun that it gets, the more, Mercury is about the mind and how we think and how we communicate and our capacity for learning and communicating. So you become like a super duper master of all those things.
Wow.
So and so look at you, right? Exactly. Look, you're talk show, you're I don't know if preaching is the right word, but teaching people on your, through the church platform and everything else that you're doing, and it's perfect because your sun is very close to the Mercury.
Okay.
It's right there. Kind of the shadow side of that is you become your thoughts. Like your Mercury is it's working all the time. So you might have a hard time turning that off. Like the brain's always working. You're always taking in information and knowledge, right?
Hey,
and
get out of my head.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just don't want to do it, man. No, Mercury, take it off. I just want to relax. I don't want to learn anything. But see, that could be like the shadow side of, oh my gosh, I'm always, you know what I mean? And for some people, that really messes them up. When I do, clients' readings, they're like, oh my gosh, how can I get separated from my mind? And well, you really have to learn how to work with that. Learn how to meditate or separate yourself out. Because sometimes when you don't want all that, and the brain could just really burn out. You're just tired of, thinking, talking, reading. You just need.
And that's interesting, and I'll share just quickly. For me, the way that has worked out in my lifetime, meditation, my time in centering prayer, which is a form of Christian meditation, and it is in the Greek a kenosis, a self-emptying. And I find that to be so refreshing and everything. And I would say it helps keep me balanced, because before I went into my spiritual disciplines, I had a severe case of monkey mind. Could not turn it off, and and even now I have to, this morning I was doing multiple things. I kind of am a natural multitasker, and I actually literally said to myself, okay, Charles, slow down.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Exactly. And that Cancer energy that Mercury's in, Cancer is that water where it just flows, and it's very intuitive. So you get, not only are you like constantly getting the information and seeing it and working with it, but all this intuitive stuff is coming in and you're like, wow, what is, you know what I mean? Like you could really be derailed all the time. It takes a lot of focused energy to use what you have to keep yourself on the path. Because that path wants to take you all over, like water. It'll be like a boat going down. Okay, here's this path. No, here's this path. And you really got to be steering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the delta of the Mississippi River, all those little.
Right? When am I going to go down? But there's a gift in that too, where it's like, wow, you're getting all this stuff. And there's a reason. Your soul wanted to work with this energy, and look what you're using it for. The good of everybody, So that's awesome.
Okay. So that, for me, with the Cancer, you kind of described it. So going around, a person could look at the basic attributes of their sun and see where that mind thing is going to take them, and that Mercury mind energy is going to be directed toward the path of where the sun is. So a person where's your sun?
Well, my sun's in Gemini and my Mercury's in Taurus, so it's actually one sign over. It can never be more than one sign over. It could be in your sun sign and the sign after it and the sign before it, because that's the orbit's so small. So luckily for me, seeing my sun is air and Taurus is the earth, so I have a very stable, grounded, earthy, I have excellent memory. It goes in there and it stays, because that's what earth is. It's fixed earth, and it stays in there. Now, the shadow side of that is, some people would say, oh, how hard is it for you to change your mind? Because all that stuff in there is fixed. But luckily, my air Gemini balances that out, because it makes it more changeable. But usually people with Mercury, Mercury Tauruses, they will be hard to convince of something that's not their own idea. And then it might be hard to change their mind. So it's nice to know the Mercury of whoever you're working with, like a client, because then you'll know, okay, is this person going to get what I'm saying or not?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, sometimes I look at the Mercury and I go, oh man, I can see what's going on.
But now, does that do you ever get surprised and come across a person where maybe it's not quite what you were anticipating? Are there those? And I'm sure there's always something else within the sign that will show you why they're maybe a little bit different, correct?
Oh, yeah. Well, all the time you think you know somebody, on the surface, or maybe even a little deeper. And then when you look at their chart, you'll see all this stuff in there. And it's like, wow. Usually people that maybe don't get along with, you don't understand, when you look and see what's in there, you go, oh my God, it makes sense. And I see what they're dealing with. They've got a lot of hard energies to work with. And you really have that compassion and love for them. You're like, oh my God. And literally, I've gone from people that I wasn't sure if I liked them or if it was going to be good. And I look at their chart and I just fall in love with them. And I go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like you can see their soul in there. You can see the soul in the energies, and, and we study a lot of famous people, people in the news, you look at Trump and all these other people and you see that one side, but then when you see the energies that they come in with, it's very different. You know what I mean? You have that insider information. So, yeah.
Well, and in the Christian tradition too, Jesus himself even said, you have heard it said to love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and do good to them that, don't do good to you. And paraphrase there, Pastor Charles paraphrase. But the point is, when we get, and I'm stepping outside of astrology a bit, when you get to the oneness of all of us, and when you get a deeper look into the person that maybe you are at odds with, it will elicit, it'll bring out a compassion, a deeper understanding.
Yeah.
And that's so desperately what we need in the world. So, and again, this is one of the aspects that kind of disturbs me in Christianity. I am a Christian, but the fact that Christianity has become this exclusionary, and if you are not Christian and believe exactly the way I do. I have a very dear friend that's a Hindu, doctor over at the clinic and everything. But there's so much that I see in the Upanishads that mirrors what I see in the Bible, and the same thing in the Quran. And when you look at the Sufi branch of Islam, which is the mystical branch of Islam, there's more that we have in common than we have that separates us. So, and astrology, for those that are listening and watching to this program, hopefully you've noticed already, astrology is not any form of a religion even. It is a form that helps us to understand how it is that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. It's really not much different from a Myers-Briggs evaluation, assessment, an Enneagram reading. It's not any different from discs and true colors, and some of these are all just vehicles to do the same thing, to help us to understand ourselves and others better.
Exactly.
I got an amen over there from Tammy.
That's exactly right. Boy, when you start looking at other people's charts, you're like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's just doing the best they can, really. We don't know what's underneath and what they came in with, but when you see that, it's like, wow, and so many times I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what, you're doing an excellent job.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing and love yourself and give yourself a break, but I use the charts a lot as healing as well. You can see the patterns that they come in with of difficulties and hardships, and if you believe in past lives, you can see the past life wounds in there, and I use that as a jumping off point for like healing them. And sometimes the healing will happen during the reading. I've had people like start crying during the reading.
Sure.
Or, oh my God, I didn't.
Yeah.
We have that aha moment, and they go, oh my God, and they just let it go.
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of times people will say, oh, so I'm not crazy after all. This is really a thing. And I'm like, yes, it is. This is really a thing. And, there's always ways to work with the energy. There's always ways.
Yeah. Tammy, you have brought it up again here with the whole idea of past lives and everything. And I want to just say to those in the audience that may be Christian or borderline Christian, when you understand the Hebrew traditions, and by the way, Jesus was not a Christian, he was a Jew. Within Jewish thought, and Christianity emerged from Judaism, within Jewish thought, there is room for the whole idea of reincarnation, because even in the Bible, it talks about they thought John the Baptist was Elijah come back. Okay, so there are instances within the Bible where you see it right there. It's right in front of our face. That there was room for that level of thought, and it wasn't heresy, it wasn't sacrilege. It was a distinct possibility that they recognized as being. And then when you take that to the scientific standpoint, there is the whole idea, what is the law of conservation of energy and matter. Energy and matter can neither be created or destroyed.
Right.
And what we truly are is not this earth suit, this body that we wear. What and who we really are is the consciousness that resides within this body. So anyway, that's all I got. I get these things sparked. There's my Mercury Cancer going off.
Yeah, because and astrology. There's many levels of reading in astrology. There's so many things you could see in there.
Yeah.
Each astrologer kind of reads in their own, in their own viewpoint. So it took me a long time to get to that past life thought, because I was raised Catholic as well, and it took me long, scary, many years of really thinking, oh my God, could this be right? And then seeing in my own experience and learning, you know what I mean? And you come to that place where either you're gonna, believe it or not. And I got there, but yeah.
And I loved in talking with you on a personal level with my solar return. I love the way you take such a positive approach, and you are very healing about when there are things that pop up. Finding the affirmative side of it and the encouragement that you provide is just it's very healing, because we had a moment or two in the midst.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We did. Yeah.
But it's healing, to be able to release and to have that catharsis and to move forward. And we are all on a journey. We are all at different points along the path, but ultimately we're all on the same path.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Mercury backing up thing here.
Okay. So, just in case people are really taking you literally, I'm not sure if they would be, but I always use this analogy. You're on the freeway, and the cars are all going. There's 3 lanes of cars going, and you're all going one direction, but you're going at different speeds. Each car is going at different speeds. So when you're passing up a car of people driving slower, as you pass them up, it appears that car is going backwards, even though you're going forward. Everybody's going forward. So that's kind of like what Mercury is doing to us right now, or what we're doing to them. We're on the Earth car driving through. We're passing up Mercury because, like you said, or the Mercury's orbit is much smaller. So we're going to pass it and we're going to move on. But because everything is energy and vibration, thoughts are energy and vibration, planets represent energy and vibration. We're energetic people, with different vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
That the energy shifts. And so when it appears that Mercury is retrograding, in fact, today is the day when it starts its slowdown period. There's a couple of weeks before it actually goes retrograde. It's starting to slow down today, which means that we're starting to come up close to, we're starting to pass it. We haven't passed it yet, but there's going to be a couple of weeks while we're laying neck and neck, and it's going to start happening. And people are going to start to notice the slowdown, where miscommunication. Oh, I thought I sent you that text. You didn't get it. Oh, I thought I replied. Oh, I forgot to. Those kind of little glitches and breakdowns happen. And then when it actually goes into full-blown retrograde, that's when our car, the Earth car is really past it. It is going back. It is going back. So there's that, retrograde period where, now you really got to watch what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that you buy, because Mercury rules, commerce, he's the winged, winged messenger. So FTD florist is what he is really. That's that symbol. Yeah. So anything that you're buying, in the next couple of weeks, make sure that you're understanding what's going on. What is this thing going to do? If I'm buying the new iPhone, you better be sure if this is, what you really want, or, you know what I mean? Ask questions and make sure you're understanding what the guy is saying. And I always tell people, say it back to him. Okay, this is what I'm hearing you tell me. If I buy this new plan, or if I buy this new thing, this is what I'm going to get out of it. And then that's your opportunity. The guy will say, oh, no, that's not what I mean. Or, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Or, oh, my gosh, no, this isn't right at all. That's your time to iron things out in the moment. Because, you can make a mistake doing all that stuff. So there's going to be about 3 weeks when the planet is actually moving backward, and then because of the way the orbits work, it's going to right itself up again. And because the way the orbits are, Mercury's going to start to come back again.
Okay.
He's going to start to come back, but he comes back real slow, and he's going to come back to that same point where he retrograded. So there's going to be like a deja vu time right?
Hey, yeah.
Do over time. So I find, and myself, because I watch, I'm a Mercury person. Since I have the Gemini ascendant, Mercury is my chart ruler. So I have to tell people I smell Mercury retrograde a mile away. I notice it right away. Like, oh my God, it's coming. I get that right away because Mercury, vibration of Mercury is my vibration, my primary vibration, and I sense that. So that do-over time where, and all these mistakes that maybe you have made during the retrograde period, they're all going to come out in the wash. Like, this is when you're going to find out, oh my God, I made these mistakes. Oh no, why did I buy that? Why did I say I was going to do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so there's a big wobble period. So really by the time the shadow, we're in the shadow now, and then there's the retrograde, and then there's that catch-up time, that deja vu time. Is quite a long period of time, but it's for us to learn something,
I love that framing. So that Mercury retrograde period is an opportunity for us to really kind of look in the mirror and see the awareness of this. And, people that know their chart and learn these things, learn where their sun is if they don't know already, and possibly even some of the other planets. And like you were saying, what was it, cafe astrology, and go there and start to learn about these things. They can learn themselves better. Understand this, but that I love the way you frame that, though, the opportunity built into the cosmos for us to learn from experience, and we actually even get to back up, experience, and then move forward again. And deal with the learnings that came out of that experience.
Wow. A lot of people will say, oh, I thought I did this already. Oh, I thought I fixed this already. Oh, I thought well, it wasn't fixed before. It wasn't, and that's just all of us. Mercury is a fast planet, and right now with all the technology, man, you can instant text people, you can instant send pictures, you can instant send movies. And remember back in the day, we had to wait for our film to get developed and go back, and you had to wait and go to the store to get a movie. I mean, we had to wait. Our generation, this generation now, it's like quick. It's almost too quick because we're missing all these little things that are going on around us. And the Mercury retrograde is this time to slow us down. Hey man, you people are all moving too fast. Sit down, smell the roses, look around, see what's around you. And this happens 3 times a year, this Mercury retrograde. So sometimes it happens 4 times depending on when it falls in the year. A couple years ago there was a 4-timer, and everybody was like texting me and calling me, oh my God, what's going on? Is it Mercury retrograde again? We just got rid of that. It can't be. It can't be 4 times. I'm like, oh man, it is 4 times. It's 4 times this year.
Wow.
But it's cool because it goes in it's in a different sign all the time. So right now Mercury is in Pisces.
Oh, the fish. And that's a water sign.
Yeah, right. So for you're already starting out with Mercury in Cancer, and you're watery and intuitive, and you're going with the flow. And that's a very intuitive, just flat out intuitive psychic. So now we add the Pisces energy, to it. So man, you are like super creative right now. That the period for daydreaming and imagination and healing. Pisces is all about healing. This is a huge opportunity for us to like get these insights into ourselves. Like, where do we need the healing, and where do we need to forgive people, and where do we need to forgive ourselves, and what I mean, all those kind of things.
I just had an experience that I am not at liberty to talk about publicly, but I just had an experience yesterday of deep emotional healing. Wow.
Nice. So see, you're tapping into it right away, and because you are so intuitive, you're almost like ahead of the curve. You'll be like me, where you can sense that coming on. Wait a minute, something's happening. I know it. But so all those Pisces sun people, and the sun's going to cross over in a sign of Pisces, any minute now. All these people with Pisces sun signs and Pisces birthdays, this Mercury is passing right over their sun.
Wow.
And so that's going to really bring a lot of healing out for them. And like everything else, there's a shadow
Sure.
Right. So it could bring out, well, sometimes, Pisces is that victim mentality, you know what I mean? Because there's two sides of the fish. There's the, which way is it facing? And we all go through victim at some point, you know what I mean? And then we put ourselves out and we go, oh, no, but,
Right.
that wanting to help other people is
Right.
the highest expression too. So a lot of these Pisces people are going to be having, this is going to be their big aha, for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Some big healing, they can heal others, and maybe they'll go out to other people to get healing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting that you bring that, because my program before this, I talked a little bit about the power zone, and when we are in our power zone, we have four powers total, 2 internal, 2 external. The internal powers are the power of our thinking and feeling, and those are connected. We don't think and feel, we think, feel. For every feeling, there's a thought. For every thought, there is a feeling. And we layer our, we don't just have a thought. We layer our thoughts. And we can layer ourselves into, oh, poor me, or we can layer ourselves upward into, what are the opportunities in this? What have I learned out of this? And so, wow, this is, and I guess I'm just inspired to bring out how the connectedness of all of these types of things. And yes, I am the teacher, and I like to teach people, just the power of your own consciousness, how you choose to perceive things. And what you're sharing here is how astrology can show you some of those opportunities as the heavenly bodies move and are constantly moving. So can you talk about how that might affect a couple of the other signs going around? Like, how would that affect the Mercury retrograde in Pisces? How would that affect maybe a Libra person?
Well, we can't really say a Libra person across the board, because some of them are going to have Mercury in a different sign. Some of them will have it in like Leo, and some of them will have, but all I can say is that the Pisces sun sign people right now, that for sure, they're going to be affected because Mercury is moving over their sun, and they're going to be working on stuff.
Wow.
Your sun in June, there's going to be another retrograde in June. It's going to run from, the slowdown will start June 20th, and clear its shadow, it'll be totally done August 14th, but it's going to start in Leo and go over Cancer. So it's going to pass over your sun and your Cancer, and your Mercury then. So watch for big, you know what I mean? Like, that'll be your time to really go into, because when Mercury kind of, goes retrograde, it's the time when we can go into the other side of our brains, the intuitive side, rather than the the rational side. This is the intuitive, go inside for insight. So there could be some big, shifts. And if there's anything that you've been especially working on, because we all know what we're working on, maybe stuff will clear out then, but, be careful, because when that's going over your sun, that the sun designates the personality vehicle, we're souls in a body, and this is the body, and here's the body. We use the body to navigate this earth plane.
Right.
So there could be little weird glitches that happen. You could become very clumsy, because you're going to be on the other side of your brain. So you could be very absent, minded. There's things that might happen when you're not really present. You know what I mean? Like, you're on the other side.
Sure.
I'll give you an example. When I had, there was a Mercury retrograde a couple of years ago, moving over Gemini. And I was working at the library at the time. I was working in the PR department, and my job was just very part-time, but I loved it. It was editing and proofreading for all the library promotional materials that went out, to the patrons. And they put out, every quarter, they put out a huge, probably 10-page listing of all the programs, all the branches that the library did. There was 5 branches, or I think 5, and they all had pages, and there was line listings and dates and times and this and that. You had to check through everything, and it would take like weeks to proofread this and check through it. And I knew the retrograde was coming, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to be proofreading this at the time when Mercury is going over my sun. I have to be so careful. I have to be so present. I have to be clear, focused, make sure I'm in my body, pay attention, go slow, go slow, look for everything. And I was like, all right, I got it. My boss and I, she used to do her own proofreading. I did my proofreading. And then after that, we get together, and the two of us, between the two of us, there was nothing that got missed. We would get everything together.
That's a good strategy. Yeah.
When we got together to meet up to look at our edits, I had not caught hardly anything. She showed me like this one. I'm like, oh my God. And I was just like floored that I had missed all this stuff. And I thought I was doing such a great job. And seriously, if I was me, I would like fired me. Oh my God. And then I thought about telling her, like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I haven't caught anything. I got Mercury retrograde over my sun. I'm like, then she'll really fire me because she'll think I'm a nut. I don't want anybody around here working like that, but everybody here knew I did astrology, but it was really like blowing my mind at how much it really affected me. So if anybody out there has a, Cancer sun in the summertime, that's your birth time, be aware, because there's going to be stuff moving over, you know what I mean? And it's not to be moving forward on the earth plane. It's to go inward. That's where your time to shine is, going inward. So if you can avoid any big projects, like in June and July, if you've got any big things coming that you're going to need to have all your brain power and focus for, I would say kind of put that off if you can, or do it later, and use that time to go inward, to do your meditation, do your maybe journaling, or you know what I mean, and writing and things like that.
Good time for a retreat or a vacation of some sort.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. Because I know in the proofreading, I tell people, I need to proofread because I have a tendency to see what's supposed to be there and not necessarily what's actually there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, wow, that is so fascinating. Wow. So what else? Anything else about this Mercury retrograde?
Oh, yeah. Well, right now everybody's doing their taxes, or we're supposed to be. So, it's just starting to slow down today. So, right now we've kind of got a grace period. March 16th is when it actually will, shut down. Actually, that pulling away backward time. So, you've got a couple of weeks yet to work on your taxes, and I would do the taxes before this retrograde starts, because like I've just shown you when I was proofreading, when it's moving, even if it's not moving over your sun, there's the opportunity to make mistakes, to lose things, to forget things. And I know a bunch of tax laws have just changed recently from last year, and it's going to be all different. We're going to have a new learning curve. So, if you can get the taxes done before first week in March, you'll be good.
Okay.
The date, I always write my dates to do taxes down. I do it with the moon in Scorpio, because Scorpio rules like taxes.
Okay.
And other people's money. So that is next weekend. If you want the perfect time to do your taxes, if you haven't done it yet, next Saturday after 11 a.m. Eastern time, all day, and all day Sunday, the 24th, 23rd and 24th, are perfect days to do your taxes.
Wow.
Perfect days, if you can.
Wow. But now, with that, it might be wise for somebody to just use one of the tax services as opposed to doing it themselves, too.
Right. All you Pisces sons, right? Pay somebody.
So that way, if it's affecting one of the people there, then at least you're covered, because you can blame them.
Right? And they have to fix it, right? They have that guarantee, right? We'll fix it. I'll fix it for you, right?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, I was going to say people are planning their vacations now too, and that's a big Mercury thing, like traveling and like signing contracts if you're renting a house for the week, or booking a hotel, booking an airfare. Again, do that before the first week in March if you can, even if you have to put a small down payment on, if you can't pay the whole thing off, get this stuff booked and get it in stone before all this stuff starts happening. Because I've heard stories where people, get to their hotel and, oh, there's no reservation. But
Oh
they
my
made the
goodness.
reservation,
Yeah.
but there's no room for them. And then the other part is the luggage. The luggage goes to Bermuda and you're in Utah.
Oh my
You know?
goodness, I've had both of
Right.
those situations happen to me
Yeah.
in my life. Okay, so it was, if I look back, I would probably see Mercury was in retrograde.
Yeah. So, and I tell people, we still got to live. We can't shut
Right.
everything off. That's how
Sure.
we are now. It's all technology. We're
Sure.
on the internet. We're texting people. We're emailing people. We have to do that. So you just follow up. You just do that follow up. Like
Sure.
if you're going to book let's say you have to book a hotel and you're booking it at the end of March, right in the full-blown Mercury retrograde time. Well, then in April, you need to follow up, call back to the hotel. Hey, I'm just checking to make sure you have
Right.
this reservation, and this was the room that I wanted too. I'm booking the queen bed. I'm not booking the full size or the smoking room or whatever it is. And then follow up with the airlines too. Hey, I'm confirming that we have these seats and they're together and this is where we're going and there's no layover or whatever. You just have to, follow up, confirm, and then be prepared for stuff to happen. Like, pack that little overnight bag that take it with you, because in case your luggage goes somewhere else, at least you have your classes, what I mean?
Toiletries or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, if you need any of that, your contact lens stuff, pack that up. But kind of be prepared for these like little glitches. Make sure your gas tank is, like, if you're going to drive on your vacation, make sure you had your car tuned up and everything, you know what I mean? The tires checked and the oil checked, and make sure, there's ways that you can get around all this stuff. And it's by paying more attention to the details.
Yeah. And those are good practices anyway, so having that awareness, and particularly if you have on top of that, establishing some good habits of follow-up, because I do that. I like to always, right before I travel, check my air reservation, check my hotel reservation to make sure. As I told you, I had a situation going to Atlantic City some years ago where the reservations got all screwed up, even though I had called and everything. So at least you eliminate some of the frustration of knowing that you had done your due diligence around those things.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Good stuff, Tammy. And I just invite folks to think about, just imagine the level of peace of mind that you have when you do know these things, or the tendency of certain things to happen, and you prepare for those. Then it's not as negatively impactful when things do emerge. As I always say, it's not what happens to us, but how we choose to respond to it.
That's right.
Always want to get the learnings out of the experience. I sometimes will even say literally, okay, Gus, what you trying to show me here? God, universe, spirit, what are you showing me? What am I missing? So when we move in this type of a way, and intentionally moving toward maturity as anthropos, what we are intended to be, our true humanity, our true divinity, it just helps us. And these are methodologies, these are tools that help us to understand and to navigate through this amazing gift of life that we have. So, yeah, Tammy, anything else? I'm going back to you. You know what? Let's take a moment, because I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you. I know you were on Facebook, but let's just, if I was listening or watching, I would say, wow, I'd like to go on astro.com and do mine, and then maybe reach out to Tammy to have her help me understand some of this. Is that something that you would do for them?
Oh, yeah. I finally put up a Facebook page where people can find me. And the name of the page is North Node Venus Astrology. And that's North, Node, Venus, North Node Venus Astrology. And I list the services that I do. I do a couple different readings. The solar return that you had just shows the energy for the year, and it blends in that natal chart with it. And then I do the natal readings for people that have, they're very basic, they have never had that done. So then when they just want to understand themselves, the natal is perfect. And then once you get, your self-knowledge, then you could go into the solar returns and look year by year and see what the focus is in the cycle, because every year is different. People don't realize, why is this year different? I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same job. I'm doing the same thing, but it's all different because the energy got shifted and there's a focus. So when you know where you're supposed to be going, it makes it easier.
Yeah. So North, North, Node, Node. Yes.
Venus.
Okay, and that's on Facebook, and that's your fan page, so to speak?
Yeah, that's the landing page. And right now I'm starting to put out very basic posts for people to kind of understand their chart and follow along. So every day I'm putting out another little, a little snippet. And if people are interested, they can kind of follow along. It's just very basic. It kind of helps them to see, what can I learn from this? Why is this a good thing for me to do?
Okay, awesome. That is so cool. And I just, again, really appreciated for me how you did that solar return, the time that you spend. And I'll do a little commercial for you. Tammy is so awesome. When she does this reading for you, she records it and sends you a copy of the recording with the understanding that, how many times, we have that time together and she's talking to you live and you get to interact and ask her questions. And then it's like, what did she say about? And now you've got the recording so you can go back and listen to it again, which I have. And I just told Tammy before we started the program, do you still have mine? Because I misplaced my MP3, But I thought how amazing that is, how ingenious, because so many times with readings that you have, there's no recording of it. And if you don't, we only maintain a certain amount of information. That's just the way we're made. And so it's so nice to have it archived auditorily so we can go back and listen to it again, take notes. It's hard to do when you're in the midst of it. And that's one of the reasons right here at selfdiscoverymedia.com. We have these programs. You can listen to them again and again. You can go back and take notes and everything and ask questions. You can ask me questions. Go to the World According to Gus page or go to my Facebook fan page, Charles Eduardo CHT on Facebook, and let's start the dialogue. Ask your questions, make your comments. I love that. I love the conversation. So do the same thing with Tammy. She's an amazing woman, does an amazing job with the readings.
Oh, thank you.
Personal stamp of approval. Wow, we got to have you back. Our time is just about gone. I'm going to give you the last word here, whatever you want to share at this point, any special things that come to mind. What's bubbling up in your spirit?
Oh, yeah, I always hear a lot from people that are, everybody's always trying to get a better job, looking out for things. So when you are interviewing right now, it's so important that you're understanding what, the person is telling you about the job. Make sure you understand the job description and especially like the pay plan and the insurance plan. Because if you think you understand it and you're not quite sure, you're going to maybe take the job and then find out, and this has happened so many times, I've heard it from people, the job is totally different than what they said, or the insurance plan changed and they didn't tell me it was going to change. And then I went back and asked them and they said, oh, I told you that. And they don't remember. I mean, I've heard everything. So actually, we can't stop living in the world. You've got that interview tomorrow and it's, starting to slow down. Just do those same things. This is what I heard you say about this, is this correct? And iron it out right in the moment. Right. And two, the other part is, if you're interviewing for a job now and you don't get the job and you really want the job, chances are maybe they've hired the wrong person because of the retrograde, or maybe when the person that's been hired, once the retrograde shifts, maybe they decide it's not for them after all. So I
Right.
always tell people, go back in about 2 months from now and just follow up with your person. Hey, did you ever find that person? How
Yeah.
are they working out? And you will be surprised that maybe this person has already quit, or they had to let them go because they've
Yeah.
heard all that stuff too. So
Yeah.
use this retrograde for your advantage, right? Just because you didn't get hired now, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing. Always
Timing.
go back.
Yeah.
It's timing. You're right. It's exactly timing. So if you really want that job, make it happen. Go back, check with them 2-3 months and find out. You could get back in.
Well, and with that, that's good wisdom. Again, that's such good wisdom in application anyway. But when you layer on that understanding of the effects of a Mercury retrograde, it gives it even deeper meaning and everything. But for anybody on a job search, because many folks just never know, but maybe without knowing that Mercury might have been in retrograde, then checking back. How's that person working out? Are you still looking? Are you looking for any
Yeah.
other help at this point?
Somebody,
That's just good job hunting protocol there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've been amazing all your life, Tammy? My goodness.
No, just since I met you. But it all.
No, stop it. I'll tell you what, on the World According to Gus, we have some amazing people. And, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of folks that are into astrology and into Reiki. I would say to you, our listeners, whether you have been on the path for a long time or you're just new to the path and seeking deeper wisdom, use your feelings, stretch out with your feelings, use the force,
Right.
but because you will sense a connection with people, you will sense whether this is right. And I'll be honest with you, there have been times when I felt like a good connection and it turned out not to be. But again, learn from that experience and keep moving forward. Now, I say that to say there are a lot of folks out here doing Reiki, doing astrology, doing various other things. There are a lot of people out here that are pastors of churches and religious leaders. Beware of the manipulation. Just use your feelings. If they're doing anything that's trying to control you or guide you, have you do things, put you in any form of a guilt if you don't or guilt if you do, that's not the person that you want. You want the person that's going to encourage your own personal growth in wisdom, a person that's going to be compassionate, a person that's going to be understanding, a person that's going to have your best interest at heart. So as you go along the path, understand the reality of the world is all those out there that put the shingle out and say that they're all about you aren't necessarily. Feel them. Feel into who you're connecting with. And Tammy Manzo has been one of those people that I haven't known her that long, but if there's anything that I can do to just get her out there, the world needs to know. She's a gifted lady in multiple disciplines, multiple modalities to help you grow. So this has been The World According to Gus. Thank you so much, Tammy, for being with us. Look
Thanks for
forward
having
to
me.
come back.
Yep, I love it. Thank
Okie
you.
doke. We thank you for listening. And again, connect with our website, ask any questions. We will be posting Tammy's contact information so that you can reach out to her. Please make use of her talent and grow in all things. The World According to Gus will be back in a couple of weeks. Blessings.
We hope that you enjoyed the show. To hear more of these wonderful shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com, just look up our podcast genre list. You will see many shows archives there ready for listening. Don't forget to share these wonderful shows. And if you wish to be a guest or a host, or you have an organization that needs to be highlighted, contact us at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com. Bye for now.